Men are not born to lead, they learn the craft of command. But tell me, Prince, when you look upon the obedience of your followers, do you see a reflection of your virtue, or the echo of a carefully constructed lie? This is not a test of your morals, but of your power. We shall dissect the truth of your reign. I, Niccolò Machiavelli, have observed the nature of power in the halls of Florence and the courts of tyrants. It is a dark and solitary art. To speak of integrity is to speak of a tool, not a virtue, a means to an end, or a chain that binds the foolish. In this discourse, we shall not seek comfort. We shall descend into the shadow between the man you profess to be and the ruler you must become. We will measure the cold distance between the appearance of goodness and the effective use of force. Prepare to cast aside the flattering lies you tell yourself. The mirror we hold to your leadership will not flatter. It will reveal the raw, unadorned truth of your position. Look at the man who is beloved. See how he smiles. Hear the cheers of his followers. Now watch what happens when the harvest fails, or the treasury empties, or an enemy appears at the gates. Where is that love then? It evaporates like morning dew under a harsh sun. They will call him a fool. They will tear him apart, but the man who is feared his foundation is not so fickle. Fear is a currency that never devalues. It is a wall around his power, built in the minds of his subjects. The question is not which is more pleasant. A warm feast is more pleasant than a cold fortress, but which one keeps you alive when winter comes? The choice between love and fear is the first and most brutal test of a prince, and most of you will choose wrong. You will choose the illusion of love because it soothes your own conscience. That is a fatal luxury. Consider the case of Cesare Borgia. He did not conquer Romagna with kisses and kind words. He used a man, Ramiro di Orco, a lieutenant of ruthless efficiency, to pacify the region through terror and bloodshed. The land was lawless, he made it orderly. And when the deed was done, and the people were simmering with hatred for this cruelty, what did Caesar do? He did not apologize. He did not show weakness. He had Ramiro di Orco executed and his body, cut in two, displayed in the public square. The brutality of the act was appalling. But the message was crystalline: the unrest is ended. The cruel instrument is broken. The order you now enjoy, I have given you. I am both the source of the justice and the master of the terror. The people were first terrified, then pacified. They feared him, yes, but they also respected the order his fear imposed. Now, you must understand the psychology of this. Gratitude is a chain made of paper. It is a promise, a debt that men will happily forget when it is no longer in their interest to remember. But fear is a chain of iron. It is a calculation made in the dark, private corners of a man's mind. If I defy him, what will he do to me? What will he take? How will I suffer? This calculation is made without passion. It is a cold, hard assessment of consequences. And it is far more reliable than the warm, fleeting heat of affection. Have you not seen this in your own life? The employee you treat as a family member, who then betrays you for a slight increase in pay. The ally you nurtured with generosity, who abandons you at the first sign of your vulnerability. You call them disloyal. I call them human. You expected love to bind them. But love binds only when it is in one's own interest to be bound. Fear binds because it speaks to the primary instinct, self-preservation. I am not advocating for mindless savagery. That is the path of the beast, and it leads to rebellion. To be feared is not the same as to be hated. And here is the delicate balance, the razor's edge you must walk. You become hated when you seize the property and the women of your subjects. That is a theft they will never forgive. But if you must take a life, take a life. Do it swiftly, decisively, and always for a reason that can be understood, if not admired. A public example, a necessary execution. This does not breed hatred, it cultivates a respectful, pervasive dread. It teaches the lesson that inaction is safer than betrayal. So I put the question to you directly. Prince, when you last gave an order, did you expect it to be obeyed because your people adore you, or because they dread the cost of defiance? Search your memories. That time you delayed a difficult decision because you wanted to be seen as fair. That time you avoided a necessary confrontation because you craved being liked. Those were not moments of kindness. They were moments of profound weakness. You were building your house on the shifting sand of human affection, while the storm clouds gathered. You have seen the strength of the fortress that fear builds. You have felt the weakness of the palace that love constructs. But this is only the first truth. The second is even more disquieting. For to wield fear without becoming a monster, you must master a duality that would break a lesser man. You must learn to wear not one face, but two, that of the man, and that of the beast. You stand before your court, your boardroom, your followers, and you wear a mask. But which one? Is it the composed face of the man, rational, bound by laws and the virtues of civilization? Or is it the primal snarl of the beast, ruthless, governed only by the will to power? This is not a mere choice, Prince. It is the fundamental duality of command. To reign effectively, you must be a centaur half man, half beast. You must master both natures, and know with cold precision when to shed one skin for the other. Consider the ancient myth. The centaur, a creature of two worlds, embodies the true nature of authority. The man builds cities, forges laws, and engages in reason. The beast charges into battle, breaks enemies, and instills primordial fear. Deny the beast within you, and you are too weak to enforce your will. Your kindness will be seen as vulnerability. Deny the man, and you are a monster, destined to be overthrown by a revolted populace. Your cruelty will breed hatred, not obedience. Look to the ascent of Octavian, who became Augustus Caesar. To the people of Rome, he was the man, the restorer of the Republic, a paragon of tradition and justice. He upheld the Senate, spoke of liberty, and presented a facade of civic virtue. But beneath that civilized mask, the beast was at work. He methodically eliminated his rivals in the proscriptions, seized control of the legions, and concentrated absolute power in his hands. He did not abolish the institutions, he hollowed them out and became their soul. The man gave speeches, the beast pulled the strings. The people saw the man and revered him. His enemies felt the beast and were silenced forever. This is the profound psychological insight. Humanity is itself a duality. Your followers crave the order and predictability of the man, the laws, the morals, the social contract. But they are also animals driven by base instincts of fear, greed, and self-preservation. They will follow your rules only as long as it serves them. The moment it does not, their inner beast emerges. Therefore, you must speak to both natures. Show only the man, and they will see a sheep leading wolves. They will test you, challenge you, and eventually devour you. Show only the beast, and you unite them in terror and hatred, forging the very alliances that will destroy you. So, how do you wield this double-edged sword? You must become a master of perception and timing. In times of peace and prosperity, wear the mask of the man. Be seen as just, reasonable, compassionate. Listen to counsel, show mercy when it burnishes your image, and speak the language of virtue. But when your authority is threatened, when there is dissent, betrayal, or weakness, you must not hesitate to reveal the claws of the beast. And when you do, it must be swift, decisive, and for a reason that can be understood, if not admired. Think of a modern corporate ruler, the CEO who champions company culture and employee well-being. That is the man. But when quarterly reports bleed red, he executes mass layoffs without sentiment, cuts projects, and silences opposition. That is the beast. He does not apologize, he acts. The staff is shaken, but they understand the grim necessity. They may resent him, but they respect his power. They have seen both masks, and they know which one ensures the survival of the enterprise. Have you ever had to terminate a loyal subordinate for the greater good? Did you do it with a trembling hand and a heartfelt elegy, or with cold, surgical efficiency? Your answer reveals which mask you default to. And if you default only to the man, you are not leading, you are pleading. You are hoping that goodness will be enough. It never is. But here is the subtle art that few master. The transition between masks must be seamless. You cannot let the beast bleed into the man's domain. After the necessary brutality, You must wipe the blood from your hands and return to the council table as if nothing happened. The beast is a tool, a weapon to be sheathed when not needed. If you enjoy its use too much, you become a tyrant, addicted to cruelty. If you fear it too much, you become a pawn, at the mercy of stronger wills. Look into the mirror of your own soul, Prince. Can you see both faces staring back? Can you summon the beast without losing yourself to it? This duality is the very essence of control. But to wield it without shattering your own humanity, you must understand a more dangerous concept, that true virtue has nothing to do with goodness and everything to do with power. And that is a truth that will test the very core of your character. You speak of your good intentions. You pride yourself on your morals, your ethics, your unwavering integrity. Now, look upon the ruins of your ambition. See the project that failed because you trusted the wrong person. Witness the opportunity you lost because you refused to get your hands dirty. Your goodness has become a cage of your own making. You have confused virtue with virtù, and that confusion is the source of your weakness. Virtù is not kindness, it is not honesty, it is not piety. A virtù is the raw material of power. It is the strength, the cunning, the force of will, and the strategic ferocity required to seize and hold your position in a world that does not reward pacifists. A leader with virtù does what is necessary, not what is nice. He understands that a single act of necessary cruelty can prevent 1,000 future sufferings. He knows that a well-placed lie can secure a peace that 1,000 truths would shatter. Contemplate the last Roman emperor of the West, Romulus Augustulus, a puppet, a boy king whose reign was defined by its powerlessness. He likely possessed personal virtue, but he possessed no virtù. He could not command armies, outmaneuver his enemies, or forge his own destiny. His virtue was irrelevant. His lack of virtù meant the end of an empire. Now, contrast him with his predecessor, a man like Septimius Severus. He told his sons on his deathbed, "Enrich the soldiers and despise everyone else." A brutal, immoral command. But it was an expression of pure virtù, a cold, realistic assessment of what was required to maintain power. He understood the one pillar that upheld his throne. Your good intentions are a liability the moment they conflict with the demands of survival. Think of the manager who refuses to fire a loyal but incompetent subordinate. This kindness demoralizes the entire team, rewards failure, and ultimately jeopardizes the mission. That manager has chosen the comfort of his own moral self-image over the harsh duty of effective leadership. He has virtue, but he has no virtù. He is a good man presiding over a slow decline. The world is not a philosophical seminar. It is a battlefield of conflicting interests. The fox is praised for his cunning, not his honesty. The lion is respected for his strength, not his compassion. These are the qualities of virtù. When you are negotiating a contract, do you reveal your bottom line out of a misguided sense of fairness? That is virtù. Or do you employ misdirection and bluff to secure the most advantageous terms? That is virtù. When a rival seeks to undermine you, do you turn the other cheek? That is virtù. Or do you orchestrate their quiet removal before their poison spreads? That is virtù. I see you wrestling with this. You believe that to act with virtù is to become a monster. This is the cowardice of the weak-minded. It is a failure to understand proportion. Is a surgeon a monster for cutting away a cancerous limb to save the body? That is virtù. Is a general a monster for sacrificing a battalion to save an army? That is virtù. Your organization, your following, your state, it is the body. Your sentimentality is the cancer. The necessary, decisive action is the surgery. Your conscience is not your guide, it is your jailer. It whispers of a world that does not exist, a world where goodness is always rewarded and deceit is always punished. Look at history. Look at the world around you now. That is a child's fable. The men who shape destinies operate in the stark realm of cause and effect, not of praise and blame. They ask one question: what must be done? Not, what will make me look good? So I ask you directly, when you faced your last great crisis, did you choose the path that felt good? or the path that was good for your power? Your answer tells you everything. You cling to your virtues like a sacred relic. But they are worthless if they lead to your defeat. To possess the virtue is to be willing to be called a villain, if that is the price of victory. But this is only the inner truth. The outer world does not see your inner conflict. They see only what you show them, and the mastery of that perception, that is the most potent magic of all. For the crowd is blind and lives only by appearances. The crowd does not see reality. It sees a performance. It judges by appearances, by the splendid facade you erect, not by the crumbling bricks that may lie behind it. You speak of your integrity as if it is a private quality, a secret between you and your soul. This is nonsense. Integrity, like power, is a public spectacle. It is a tool to be wielded, a costume to be worn, a weapon to be deployed in the theater of command. What is the truth of your character compared to the perception of it? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The man who appears to be pious, just, and strong will command loyalty, even if he is secretly none of those things. The man who is truly virtuous, but appears weak or uncertain, will be overthrown. This is the first principle of reputation. It is not what you are, but what you are seen to be that governs the minds of men. Consider once more the lesson of Cesare Borgia. After his lieutenant, Ramiro di Orco, had pacified Romagna with such brutal efficiency that the people seethed with hatred, what was Cesare's solution? He did not change his fundamental goal of control. He changed the perception of it. By having Ramiro executed and his body displayed, he staged a magnificent piece of political theater. He created the appearance of a just prince dispensing stern justice. He separated himself from the very cruelty he had authored. The reality was cold calculation. The perception was decisive leadership. The audience, the people, saw only the final act, and they applauded. You must become the director of your own play. Every action, every word, every public appearance is a scene. When you show mercy, it must be a public spectacle that burnishes your image of compassion. When you show severity, it must be a stark lesson that reinforces your image of strength. You do not act for the sake of the action alone. You act for the echo it will create in the minds of your followers. Your honesty is not a moral absolute. It is a strategic choice. Do you think the great captains of industry reveal their true strategies in their public letters? They reveal what they wish the market to believe. They project confidence to attract investors, even when doubt gnaws at them internally. This is the psychological core of leadership. Mankind is simple, and governed more by their eyes than their judgment. They will believe a compelling lie more readily than a complex, unvarnished truth. Your duty is to provide that compelling narrative. You must manufacture the consensus of your own goodness. Let your rivals cling to their private virtues. You will master the public stage. Think of your own domain. That email you send to your team, is it merely a conveyance of information? Or is it a carefully crafted script designed to project calm during a crisis, to instill confidence when resources are thin, to demonstrate your command even when you are seeking counsel? When you walk through the office, your posture, your tone, your very silence is a performance. Are you performing the role of a leader, or are you merely being yourself? If you choose the latter, you have already ceded the stage to someone more cunning. You fear this is deception. You are correct. It is, but is a deception for the sake of order, for the stability of your reign. The flock does not need to see the wolf circling. It needs to see the shepherd standing firm, even if that shepherd is the one who led the wolf to the fold. Your followers crave certainty, and certainty is a feeling you instill through curated appearances. So, I ask you, when you last made a decision, how much time did you spend considering the decision itself, and how much did you spend crafting the story you would tell about it? If you did not think of the story first, you have already lost control of the narrative. You have allowed others to define your reality. But remember, an actor on a stage is vulnerable. He can be upstaged. His props can fail. His performance, no matter how brilliant, is not enough to defend against the conspiracies of envious rivals and the knives of open enemies. For that, you need more than the fox's cunning. You need the lion's power. You have learned to wear the mask. You have mastered the theater of perception. But what happens when the stage collapses? When the scripts burn and the audience transforms into a mob? All your cunning, all your carefully crafted appearances will be as dust if you cannot also command the naked force of the lion. The fox is prudent, but he cannot defend himself from the wolves. The lion is powerful, but he cannot see the traps. To reign, you must be both. To fail in either is to be devoured. The fox understands snares. He sees the subtle conspiracy, the whispered betrayal, the contractual fine print that hides a knife. He knows how to use deception not merely as a shield, but as a weapon. He forges alliances he intends to break, spreads misinformation to confuse his rivals, and presents a friendly face to his enemy even as he plans his ruin. This is the mind of the strategist. But what is his ultimate victory if, at the moment of his triumph, a stronger rival simply crushes him? Cunning without force is a beautifully laid table for another man's feast. Consider Louis XVI of France, known as the Spider King. He was the ultimate fox. He wove webs of diplomacy and intrigue, buying off his enemies, corrupting their courts, and breaking his alliances when it suited him. He avoided open battle at all costs, preferring to win through guile, and he was successful to a point. But his reign was one of constant anxiety, of managing countless petty threats, because his power was often perceived as cleverness without true teeth. He was respected for his mind, but not truly feared for his might. Now, his roar alone can settle disputes. His sheer presence commands a terrified obedience. He does not negotiate with wolves, he extinguishes them. He is the raw, uncomplicated application of power. His strength is his argument. But the lion, for all his glory, is a simple creature. He charges forward, trusting in his own might, and thus he is easily led into the hunter's pit. He scorns the subtlety of the fox, and that scorn is his coffin. Look at the fate of Charles the Bold, Duke of Burgundy. He was a lion, ferocious, ambitious, and militarily powerful. He sought to build a great kingdom through conquest alone. He despised the tricky politics of his fox, like contemporaries. And where did it lead him? To a series of reckless battles, to overextension, and finally, to his death on the battlefield at Nancy. His corpse was so mutilated it could barely be identified. The lions of the world leave magnificent corpses, the foxes inherit the earth. Your domain is no different. You may be a CEO, a team leader, a figure of influence. Are you only a fox? You write clever emails, you navigate office politics, you secure small victories through negotiation. But when a direct challenge arises, a subordinate who openly defies you, a rival who poaches your team, do you have the lion's power to crush it decisively and publicly? Or do you resort to more whispers, more intricate plots, revealing the fundamental weakness of your position? Conversely, are you only a lion? You command through sheer force of personality and threat. You believe your title and your anger are enough. But have you noticed how your orders are sometimes misinterpreted? How initiatives fail in ways you did not anticipate? That is because you are blind to the traps. You are not seeing the silent alliances forming against you, the subtle sabotage, the compliance that masks contempt. The wolves are pretending to be sheep, and you do not have the fox's eyes to see it. The synthesis is what separates the true prince from the mere aspirant. You must have the prudence to detect the deceit in a partner's handshake, and the power to break that hand if it holds a dagger. You must cultivate informants, the ears of the fox, while also having enforcers, the claws of the lion. Your strategy must be a blend of irresistible force and immovable cunning. So I ask you, when you look at your own reign, which beast do you feed? Which one have you neglected? Have you been so busy weaving webs that you've forgotten how to bare your teeth? Or have you been so busy roaring that you've failed to see the net being drawn closed around you? This is the final duality of power. You have learned of fear and love, of the man and the beast, of reality and perception. But now you stand at the precipice. knowing is not enough. You must synthesize these forces within your own character. You must become the centaur, the sphinx, the creature of two natures, perfected into one formidable whole. The test is whether you can unite these warring halves without being torn apart. The final judgment on your leadership awaits. So ends our dissection. The core truth is not a simple tactic, but a chilling reality. The highest form of control is not enforced, but willingly embraced. You have not commanded, you have curated. You have not demanded loyalty. You have engineered the very world in which your leadership appears as the only logical, the only safe, the only desirable outcome. They follow not because they see your hand, but because they believe they are following their own. Is your leadership, then, a lie, or is it a more profound truth? A truth you have built for them. The test is complete. But the study of power is endless. If these insights have sharpened your mind, prove your cunning. Comment below with your most strategic revelation. Let us see who among you has truly been listening. To fortify your mind against the weaknesses of others, subscribe and turn your notification bell into a sentry for your ambition. And if you wish to extend your influence, share this video with a rival you wish to unsettle or an ally you seek to enlighten. The game does not end when this screen fades. It has only just begun.